Alright, let's talk Uditer. I still can't believe that's the actual name. Now I come from a background of longboarding, snowboarding, and skating quite a bit, and when I compare the Uditer to brands I'm more familiar with like LaCroix, Evolve, or Boosted, or Hoyt Street, you can just kind of generally tell this board is lacking compared to those, but when you consider the $600 price tag, it's actually really hard to beat. For reference, I bought the Boosted board some years back, and it had roughly the same specs as this Uditer, but it cost 3 times as much. Now let's talk about what makes this Uditer such a good value. First of all, the usability. The ability to push 2 buttons, one on the board and one on the remote, and then have the skateboard boot right up and be ready to ride is really nice. There was no pairing that needed to be done with mine, and the remote didn't have a hard time finding the skateboard at all. You simply turn on the remote, turn on the board, and push the dial forward on the remote, and the skateboard is magically propelled in whichever direction it's pointed. The Uditer does have 4 speed modes. You have speed mode 1 that goes 10 miles an hour, speed mode 2 is about 17, speed mode 3, 22 miles an hour, and speed mode 4 got me up to a top speed of 25 miles an hour. It's worth noting though that the top speed does decrease proportionately with the battery. At about 10% battery, I could only get her up to about 17 miles an hour. And you can switch between kilometers per hour and miles per hour on the remote. To do that, you just first press the power button on the skateboard, you long press it until the light flashes quickly, and then you press and hold the power button on the remote. And this essentially repairs the remote with the board. And once that's done, you'll be prompted with a message asking if you'd like to display kilometers per hour or miles per hour. And you can use the speed dial to make the selection and then press the power button to select your preferred option. At top speed, which again is around 25 miles an hour or 40 kph, the board's 328 watt-hour battery got around 10 miles of range per charge with me riding. But keep in mind it's a swappable battery and it only weighs 4 pounds, so you can keep an extra one in your backpack for 2 times the fun. The board also has cruise control. To activate that, you just hold the throttle wheel in a fixed spot when you're riding, and then you tap the power button and it'll turn on cruise. It's a really nice feature to have on longer rides. We've also got 4 different braking level intensities, and to change the intensity, you simply hold the brake wheel back and then tap the gear change button on the remote. You'll also notice a little switch on the bottom of the remote, and the switch is to change the direction of the spin on the motors. You can decide if you want front or rear wheel drive, or if you just want to ride it forwards or backwards, but it's something that's really handy when you're going to make 3-point turns. Now for some of the downsides I noticed while reviewing this board. For starters, the wheels that come with the board are pretty stiff. They have a durometer of 78, and riding down sidewalks or rough asphalt was pretty unsettling. My feet were vibrating all over the deck. But Uditer does sell a softer wheel that they call the Cloud wheel, and in my opinion, if you're going to be riding this board on public streets, you should definitely opt for the Cloud wheels for a safer and more comfortable ride. My second complaint is that the board is pretty flexible, almost too flexible for me. It makes the ride really bouncy, and it has another big downside too. The battery pack, which hangs just a few inches above the road, can get scraped if you're going down bumps or over curbs. On my 10-mile initial test ride, I did scrape it a few times, and I feel like the only way around that is to just keep the board on flat ground. My last complaint is that the scooter handlebar feature that this board offers is more or less a complete gimmick. I don't see any way how it's possible to mount the handlebars on the skateboard and also safely operate the eSkate remote. Considering though that this board only has a $600 price tag, it's really hard to find serious complaints. There's no denying the relaxed vibe that comes with carving around on an e-skate. It's a great way to clear your mind after a hard day's work, and with the Uditer, you really don't have to spend a small fortune to get that feeling. Other e-skates in this price range generally don't have swappable batteries, they're slower, or they have major issues with their software or hardware. With the Uditer though, there were no major hiccups. I was able to charge the battery fine, start the board right up, it paired instantly with my remote, and I was on my way in a matter of seconds. For someone looking at entry-level e-skates, I do think the Uditer is a solid option with quite a few cool features. Alright, that's all I've got for you today on this Uditer skateboard. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to like the video. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you feel so inclined, and don't forget there's a link to buy the Uditer down in the description. It's an affiliate link, and if you use the code GINGER you get 3% off. So, happy shopping.